I read a book a few years ago called All is Grace by Brennan Manning, and it opened my eyes to just how amazing God's grace is for us. There's a quote in this book that I think defines just who Jesus is and why he died for us. Jesus comes not for the super spiritual, but for the wobbly and the weak-kneed, who know they don't have it all together and who are not too proud to accept the handout of amazing grace. One of my favorite stories about grace is in the Bible called the Prodigal Son. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with this story, it's about a Jewish son who asked his dad for his inheritance so that he could leave home and start his life. What's unusual about this story is back in this day, a son typically only got his inheritance after his father passed. So this showed a blatant disregard for his father's authority as head of the family. So the father obliged, and the son left and squandered all he had on sinful and selfish living. Luke 15:15 says, "So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything." Pigs were seen by Jews as the lowest and most disgusting form of life. The fact that this young man was feeding pigs was a sign that he had truly hit rock bottom. Verse 17. When he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare? And here I am starving to death. I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants.' So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him." Verse 21. The son said to him, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father said to his servants, "Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." The most revealing thing about this passage is that the father didn't say, "I knew this was going to happen," or "I told you so." It didn't matter that his son had squandered all the money or how he lost it. The dad simply said, "Let's celebrate. My son was lost, and now he's found." Maybe you once had a relationship with God, but you've drifted away, lost your way, or maybe even ran away from God. Maybe you've never known God as a loving and forgiving Father because of your experience with your own earthly father. Maybe you've struggled with a heavy burden of shame, guilt, unworthiness, wondering if God really loves you. It doesn't matter what you've done, where you've been, the mistakes you've made. I can promise you, God is waiting with his arms open wide, ready to say, "Welcome home."
Watch the Father Effect movie for free on YouTube.